So yeah, welcome folks to Career Leaps, another session. This series is called Out of Syllabus. This is where we try to discuss and help you folks learn skills which are often not taught, discussed, and ignored in schools and colleges, but are often probably very much important to our life, career, professionals, and everything in general. And we have done probably two sessions till now. This is the third one. And today, the topic which we're going to discuss is more or less around careers, creating, finding opportunities as a student, as a professional, and how you basically could go forward from there. And there's something which has been a topic which has been close to my heart, something which I've been sharing, talking, and speaking a lot about in the past uh, 3 to 4 years now. And there's one particular topic which I find that there's a lot of noise on the internet. There's a lot of gyan and everything. I uh, try to stay away from that gyan wala part. I try to stay away from giving you generic aspect of that particular thing. Rather, I'll give you two aspects of this. The story aspect of how things have changed in my life using everything which I have shared and I have done on that particular part and which I've seen over this particular part. And another thing is what works in the current situation or in the current market and everything, and how you could basically do that particular part. So, given the diverse background of everyone and anyone here, okay, the first most important thing which most people do not even focus on, which most people look at this particular point of time in career, is that they try to limit themselves at a very specific level of doing this. This is something which happened to me also. I basically got into a, I basically this is basically true for most of us, and this was true for me as well. I got into a career. I got into a degree which I didn't want to do. Got into a college which I didn't want to go. There's something a story for most of us. I got into computer science. I literally hated coding. I didn't love coding at all. I got into a college which I never wanted to, and everything basically started from there. But eventually things went upwards from there and there onwards. And one of the most interesting thing which I've seen in most of the students is that in the early start of their career, they restrict themselves to one particular aspect of field or a career or any those particular things. And another part which is being there is being very money oriented or job oriented. Uh, these two particular aspects can help you a lot in short term. Being money oriented or being a specialist in one particular part can help you short term, maybe get a good placement, maybe get a crore placement and everything. But these are some things which probably will may or may not help you in the longer term. How I'll expand this particular thing to this, but before even jumping to how you can create opportunities to yourself, just via maybe I'm not going to talk about here conventional stuff, or do not want to talk about conventional stuff like creating resumes or building online portfolios and everything, but probably a more generalized way of how you can create opportunities yourself beyond or after your college days also. So how I look at my college days, or how I look at college days in general, is I look at it more as a playground field. Okay, a playground field where you're trying to figure out what you want to do, how you want to be, and everything. I I take a very interesting example or an analogy of sports field. Okay, you're basically entering into a sports field where you have different sports that are being played, different net practices that are being basically played, and the eventual point of your 4 years of your college is to figure out which sport you want to play, which skill you want to play. Okay, and the more you iterate, the more you experiment, the more you look into every aspect of each and every sport or each and every skill you basically practice towards, at the end of the 4 years of your college, or at the end of the 4 years of your college, you end up uh, becoming a all-round person who can eventually become a lot more skillful in this particular thing. A lot of people today say this thing as generalist versus specialist. Become a generalist rather than becoming a specialist. So yeah, there is a reason why you should become a generalist in start of your career rather than being a specialist in the start of your career. So when you look at your college and when you look at this particular college as a playground field for yourself, a lot of things starts opening up for yourself. When you start experimenting, when you start tinkering around this particular thing, uh, things starts playing around a lot. So for me, it started in a very different way. I hated coding. I didn't love coding, but two of my friends were very much passionate about coding stuff and everything and building products and all those things back in while. And at that point, I basically got introduced to this one concept of Android development. And this concept of Android development was very new. This was back in when I was in first year. And this was the place when I actually discovered that, okay, the ideas which I actually have in my mind, I can convert them into a product or something. And I didn't know that a year kid with just a MacBook or just with a laptop could do this particular thing. It was a very fascinating idea, or a very fascinating thought to me. And despite me being very conservative about, I do not want to code and everything and do not want to do, I wanted to give it a try because my college was boring and I didn't have anything literally to do. And over the period of time, I started learning about Android development and everything. So what started as a side project for me, I had an idea that, okay, why not connect a doctor to a hospital and make an app. There is an app called Practo today, which exists, and that used to be exist that point of time also. But I had an idea that, okay, why not build something like that? And my eventual goal is that, okay, if I could actually build something like Practo in my life or in my particular part, I could be a really good Android developer. 3 months into it, I didn't really like the coding aspect and everything, but I explored a way too many number of things that could be there. How exactly a product could be built and everything, how exactly things are around those particular aspects. And one of the things which actually opened up for me in this particular point of time was that I started exploring the business aspect of it. At that point of time, the startup ecosystem, the Twitter ecosystem, and everything was not even there in during that particular time. So I started exploring how exactly companies are built, how products are built, and how everything around these particular things are done actually. And what eventually started as a side project for me eventually ended up becoming my first startup eventually. I started up that particular product into B2B zone and everything, and eventually went into that particular part. So the point here is to try as many things as possible while in your college days, okay, and be as open, be as friendly as possible into that particular aspect so that you could eventually expose yourself to as many things as possible in your particular time zone. One particular part which a lot of people eventually face is that how do I find my passion, or how do I find my learnings, or how do I find my right particular thing. This particular thing is another aspect of this particular thing is that when you're trying a new particular dish, you may or may not have that particular dish as your favorite one. The only way you probably have your favorite dish today is because you have tasted it, you have basically tried it, and basically have it in a certain particular way. Same is with the skills. If you haven't tried, if you haven't tested, if you haven't really seen any particular skills or as many number of things, you will never eventually able to figure out that whether this is the right thing for you or not. Okay, this is the general aspect around this particular part. Okay, uh, rather than me trying just speaking and doing this particular thing, I want to keep answering questions in between and probably try to make it more interactive, maybe more of a Q&A kind of a thing. So any one of you have any particular questions or just want to ask any particular thing uh, on the whole, just let me know. I can answer that and we can move forward accordingly. Anyone have any particular questions or anything in general about anything which we have discussed till now, or anything under the whole topic? Anyone? Anyone? Nope. Seems like a anyone. Feel free to have your mics on if you want and ask a question. Nope. Still no. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, moving forward, to the main aspect of the whole session is that creating and finding opportunities online, or probably creating and finding opportunities online. So one of the key aspect which I see a lot of students today is that a lot of folks have skills developed. You might be a very good developer, you might be a very good marketer, you might be a very good individual person who may or may not have a who may be good at one particular skill, but one particular core aspect which most people do not probably focus on is that how do they sell themselves online. So when you're trying to get a job, what you're trying to eventually do is you're trying to sell your skill, you're trying to sell yourself in this particular company or in this particular part. And in today's world, where everything is going online, where everything is basically on internet and everything, you trying to showcase your skills have become even more harder. Trying to Can you raise volume? Am I not audible enough? Can you even confirm if I'm audible enough? Is my volume?
You are audible.
Okay, okay, cool. Thank you, Priyanshu. Cool. Maybe Devansh, you could have your volume maybe a little bit more. Okay, cool. Not an issue. So yeah, coming to the part, a lot of folks today do not focus on the selling aspect of themselves. Okay, one particular aspect which I think a lot of people do not focus is on the soft skills aspect, the communication, the writing, the reading aspects of these particular part, where they eventually go down. So if you consider yourself on the freshers level, okay, when you're just graduating, most people are on the same level. Anyone who is a computer science graduate may or may not have the same skills. They're not very different in the experience. A lot of people say that, hey, Rinkesh, I do not have much experience. I do not have this much and I do not have that much. If you look at most of the people, there's not a very stark difference of that particular part. Most people are on the same experience level and everything. What becomes a differentiating factor on the freshers level or on the starting point when you start your career is that how well are you actually able to showcase your particular talent or your particular skills online or particularly in general, and how well are you actually able to communicate and do this particular part, from creating your portfolio to writing to probably doing every other aspects of this whole particular thing is something what you could eventually do on the large scale level that could help you give more and more visibility. So if you look at this particular point, your eventual point is that you have to figure out more and more ways to put your map or put your identity online as many number of places as possible. One of the best things that I have done starting in my career is to start writing and start doing blogs. Okay, so this is one particular thing which has been very helpful to me, that when you start sharing your work, there's one particular aspect which I see a lot of people not doing, is that we do share about our travel stories, we do share about where we eat, we do share about where what we do and how we do, but most of us have never shared, or most of us have never looked at this particular part, that why don't you share about what you learn and what you basically work at and everything. Okay, and this is something which I've been doing probably for past 4 or 5 years personally on my level. The build in public on Twitter is something which has been uh, infamous now, where everyone is trying to do that particular part. But being able to condense your thoughts, being able to condense your thought in writing, maybe in threads, maybe in blogs or any particular aspect, is something which basically instills a trust of a recruiter to you. Imagine this particular part where I, as a recruiter, is recruiting you. Okay, so rather than just looking at your resume, where just your 4 or 5 skills are basically being shown, okay, most people say that I am a hard worker, I am a team player, I am this kind of a thing. So when you're trying to sell yourself, do not show, tell them how that particular thing is there. Okay, so for your hard skills, that are very easier way to do that particular thing. Okay, you can build your own projects. If you're a computer science student or if you're a technical guy, you can build your projects. Or if you're a marketing guy, it's a very easier way to show your numbers and everything. But in a remote first way, being this particular kind of a guy where you could actually showcase that yes, there's a good way to showcase the ability to write well is a very, very important skills which you can pick up. Okay. And a lot of people try to do this from the point here, who will read? Okay. How many followers do I have? Or do this particular thing. I guess the only one you should write for is what you could say is for yourself. Okay. Write for yourself about what you have been learning, what you have been doing. Let's say you learned today about uh, what Web3 is and what Web3 is all about. And just write an atomic essay of 300 words and just put it online, maybe on Medium or maybe some other format. Okay. And it has become so easy with the tools and everything. The important point is that when you try to write, okay, you're communicating various number of things to your recruiters and to yourself. When you write as a recruiter, I get to know that yes, your ability to write, condense the thoughts into something, okay, and ability to communicate and have a clear thought process is very, very important. Okay. And this becomes a very huge amount of selling point for yourself when you're competing among the sea of everyone else. So imagine this particular point that there are two developers whom we're trying to hire a developer, and the end point basically comes between two people who are competing. A very good amount of point, a very good amount of unfair advantage which you could gain very early is about writing this particular thing, having a particular good portfolio and everything. Your eventual point of your social media profile or your portfolio is to make easy work easy for the recruiter who is basically trying to recruit you. Another important thing I feel a lot of people miss out is that they think having a good resume or having a good portfolio means that they will eventually land up a good job. The primary reason or the primary work of your resume, of your portfolio, is to basically just get you an interview. So you have to optimize for that. Your resume or your portfolio will not get you a job. Your resume or your portfolio will only get you an interview. So you need to optimize for that particular part, that how well can someone, after seeing this my portfolio resume, would actually be interested in me to call me for an interview. Everything else then becomes a different ball game, that how well do you perform in those interviews, how well do you basically go into those particular parts, right? So there's a one important part which a lot of people do not really care about, that okay, how well my digital portfolio or how well my online portfolios are really working in this particular part of time. Okay. So okay, there are a few questions. I'll try to address them. First, being a generalist can help explore new things and can get the niche in few years. But the time when we are in, but the time when we are in the time in that zone, it often can lead to confusion and indecision sometimes. Wanted to know your perspective, how to cope up with that. So a very good way to cope up to being a generalist is that have a particular part where you're actually dedicating a primary amount of time to one particular skill on a considerable amount of time. So let's say you are trying to learn Android development, okay? Rather than giving it a week or a two and discarding it, if you're spending, let's say, 3 hours or a 4 hours daily basis, okay, just learning particular thing. Yeah. So your majority of your time, let's say out of the 3 hours, your 2 hours should be dedicated only for learning Android development. And this should be done for at least a month or a two, max 3 months. Okay. And you should be wise enough to actually really know that this particular thing really works or not. Okay. So over the period of time, as a generalist, you will realize that you will pick up skills whenever necessary to a what particular point of time. I'll give you this from my perspective, that I'm a core generalist at this particular point of time. And being a founder, you have to do that particular thing. You do not have a choice of that. I want to do this and I do not want to do that. So probably a couple of months back, we wanted to, we had the need of writing good copies, and I was not fairly that good at copywriting and everything. So I ordered a couple of books that basically would help me in writing copies. I did a lot of research around probably good threads and good articles and everything, and probably collated at one particular place. And everything basically I learned in 3 weeks, condensed into one particular thing. And I learned it to the specific point of use case that could actually help me write better copies for my website or for my product. The day basically, the eventual goal was that, okay, I want to write better copies for my product. So I will learn that particular skills according to that. I didn't master the art of copywriting at this point of time. And I'm not saying that I probably became a very good copywriter at that point of time. Okay. But the eventual point that was that I had to write better copies. So I upgraded myself to that particular point, learned that skill, got got the action done, and moved away from it. Probably next time I want to do something else, I'll pick up it in the same way and do those particular things. As a college student, you should have variety of skills in your basket. One should be a primary skill. That is something you think you want to explore as your career, eventual career point, career aspect. But there could be another things that you should be also exploring at this particular point. I'll probably try to equate this more or less with, let's say, if you want to become an Android developer, but you're interested into, let's say, Web3 also, because Web3 is something booming today. So on a daily basis, let's say if you're dedicating learning to 4 hours, your 1 hour could just go into learning Web3 and exploring it. But your another primary part could be going into this primary skills aspect. And the good part is, and the reason why you do not have the clarity what you want, or what you or the reason why you're not able to figure out even after spending the time, is because you're not measuring it. Unless and until you don't start measuring your inputs and the outputs you're gaining from it, you'll not have the clarity of how your actions are actually, how your efforts are actually converting into actions. Okay. So unless and until you start putting that particular thing in effort of measuring that how well this particular thing is working for me, you will eventually, however amount of time you spend, you'll still be confused that, okay, yeah, I may or may not, you will not have that particular confidence in that particular part. So yeah, try to have a proper balance of the skill set, measure them. If you feel that, okay, you're not doing good, or if you feel that, okay, there is not something that has been there, then move on from that particular thing. The another good thing is that the reason why I say that have those secondary skills is that, let's say after 3 months or after 2 months of time, you realize that your primary skill is not something you're going to work on. Your secondary skill can then become your primary skill, and you can have something else as a secondary skill to work upon. Okay. So it's not that if you choose a primary skill and then ditch it 2 months later on, the next skill you pick up will again start from zero. Okay. You will have done some work gradually so that you can still pick it up. And now you can very much evaluate that, okay, which part is giving you better returns, which part is giving you maybe a better career options, and everything and anything. Okay. So this is what basically it helps in this particular aspect. Okay. Around these particular part. Another thing with learning aspect when it comes to career is that a lot of folks only focus on these hard skills, that I'll be the best Android developer. No, you'll not be a best Android developer while you're in college. You'll not be the best developer or best person in this particular part. Okay. Try to optimize that, have that balance, that how well of a skill you can basically build, plus how well you can sell yourself. Okay. If you have made 3 projects, okay, but if you have published writing about those projects online, maybe via your online, maybe via Medium blog, maybe via what you could say, uh, LinkedIn article, maybe written a thread, posted on Instagram or any particular aspect. Okay. And if you're trying to showcase those particular things to the world, it will basically open up more opportunities for you. Then rather than trying to make, I have seen resumes where people list down 20 skills which they are good at while in college itself. No, you're not good at 20 skills in just second year or third year of your college. Okay. Try to be try to showcase yourself being good at 1 or 2 or 3 particular skills, and in the right sense and in the right way. Okay. That is how you basically showcase yourself in the right sense. Okay. Another thing which I want to mention is that when you're applying for jobs, although you are a generalist at core, when you're applying for jobs, unless and until the job is not for a generalist role, do not showcase yourself as a generalist. Then you're selling the right product. Then you're selling the wrong product to them. Okay. So let's say if you're selling, let's say you're saying the job is for Android development, but your resume says that I am good at uh, Android, I'm good at web dev, I'm good at ML, I'm good at AI, I'm good at this, that, and everything. The focus ultimately is that you're not a good developer, you're not good at web Android developer, you're good at more or less everything. So you're probably not good at anything. Okay. So when you are trying to uh, sell yourself, when you're trying to apply for jobs, make sure that your portfolios or make sure your pitch or how you basically showcase yourself, even from interviews to anything, are tailored to that particular job role. Okay, because eventually the point is that you're trying to solve a problem for them, and you need to showcase that yes, your portfolio, your skills can actually solve that job for them. Okay, so there's a difference in how you learn, there's a difference in how you showcase and how you sell yourself also. Those are two very different skills altogether. Okay. uh Kanha is asking, what if there are many things that you are interested into and how to stop yourself from jumping from one thing to another? You can answer it. I guess Kanha, this answers it very well. The balancing part of primary secondary skills, okay, and thinking of this particular part uh, uh, onto this particular aspect, okay, that how you could pick up skills and everything. How you pick skills or what skills you pick up is something very irrelevant at this point of time. I would say that pick up the skill which is most easiest, or which you find the uh, which you find probably enjoying. Okay, there's no particular thing. Do not dwell into the hype कि यार ML में बहुत jobs है, AI में बहुत jobs है, Web3 में बहुत jobs है. If you're everything at the end of the day, everything is oriented toward jobs and everything, you will eventually not lead up to anything. Okay, so yeah, this is one particular part that is there. Cool. Anyone have any particular other questions around this whole part of generalist versus specialist kind of a thing? Any particular queries or any particular thing? But sometimes being good at skills other than mentioned in job profile can also add on for us, right? Like it can be a positive thing, right? Yes, very much. So it's not that having extra skills apart from what the job you're probably applying for is a bad thing. It depends on where you're applying, what the position is, what the situation is, and everything. That's why you have to curtail and personalize that whole thing depending on that. You need to be very clear about who as a person you're trying to sell to that particular company or to that particular thing. Okay. uh, in that, so the eventual point is that you should not confuse the recruiter and should not leave any unturned question that yaar Keshav इसमें भी अच्छा है, उसमें भी अच्छा है, इसमें भी अच्छा है. So he might have an undivided attention at every places, right? So there's one particular thing that a lot of, because recruiters do not have that much of time figuring out, because for you to stand out in everyone else, it's a very difficult decision then for a recruiter to decide. Okay, so it becomes very important for you that what you showcase to the recruiters. What do you think? So is the ample amount of skill both? What do you think? So think is an ample amount of skill both primary. What do you mean by ample amount of skill, Shanmuga? I am not clear with that. Do you mean time or do you mean the experience of the skill or what? I am not uh, doing that. Devesh is asking. I am interested in social media or digital marketing, and I have made a few posts and I feel confused on how I will get content for the next post. And this question me, so should I quit? Okay, so if you are interested into social media or digital marketing, rather than trying to make a page of yourself, okay, or do something like that, since as a starter you may or may not have a good audience or a good part, okay, try to work under someone, maybe an agency, maybe a startup or someone like that, okay, and uh, do the work for them. Okay, so there's this I'll say something unpopular, something which most people do not say, but This is something I believe that if you want to really experience something and want to do something, okay, do an unpaid internship with someone, maybe for a month or two, maximum of that, okay, not more than that. The the thing you should optimize while doing these unpaid internships is the kind of people who are you're working with, the learnings or the mentors you would get, and the exposure which you will get. And I'm not saying this exposure which people post that you will get exposures and certificates and everything. Don't chase for that certification or that. Don't chase for that exposure. Choosing the right kind of people to work under while these unpaid internships or while these even paid internships matters a lot. Okay, there's one particular way you could do it for a do it for a month or two max. Your eventual goal is to learn a particular skill which you can monetize. Okay, when you start monetizing, it is your eventual right to ask for that money. If that company, if it's a good company and if it's a good product and people, they will eventually pay you. Okay, they will eventually pay you. They will never say that we work for unpaid only. Okay, uh, and if they do not pay you, unfortunately, switch to something else, because now you have at least some little bit of experience, some little bit of part of that particular thing. Okay, and you can monetize this particular thing. Okay, so that is one particular aspect. Another thing, especially for digital marketers or social media thing, is that, or this applies to more or less every job, is that uh, figure out a problem which you think you could solve for them. Okay, so let's say Devesh, you know internet career lead. Okay, as a social media or a digital marketer. Okay, what you could possibly do is write down 4 to 5 ideas you think that could help our Instagram grow, or that could help our product grow, or our social media thing grow. If you can go beyond that, make a carousel or make a reel or anything that you would think that could basically uh, do that kind of thing. So instead of saying that, hey Rinkesh, I could be a very good addition to your team, show me and tell me how that is possible. Okay, you could probably, if you're let's say a digital marketer and into performance marketing. Okay, uh, just take my landing page, run a certain amount of ads on it. Okay, probably spend $1,000 on the Facebook ad or Instagram ads. uh, Take out the data, make a proper case study PDF and send it to me. Okay, I don't think so any recruiter will ever say no just for talking to you. So your first step, like I said, is to get an interview, to get a call. Everything else changes from that point of time. Okay. So to grab the attention of recruiters who are very busy, okay, rather than going the conventional way, I have sent you, hey, PFA resume attached, please let me know if I'm the right fit. No, figure out whether you're right fit or not. Okay. Figure out if you figure out a way how you can actually solve problems for that particular product or company, and then reach out to them and and see how exactly things could be going from there. Okay, so rather than starting your own page or that high friction thing that could may or may not have that particular reachability to you, a good way is to do the other way around, and this could eventually actually help you open up a lot more opportunity. Another thing which I want to share is that whatever experiences you're having, okay, start sharing them online. Okay, one of the very good proportionate of this is that my brother, who recently dropped out of college, okay, almost a year back, he used to share everything on Twitter and all these things. Okay, so he did an internship for 2 months at a company as a content writer, and he just wrote that particular what you could say, he basically wrote a thread on it, that how he basically from a newbie to became a content writer and everything, and how he did this internship for 2 months. He wrote this thread, and in next 24 hours, the thread blew up, and he literally had 10 offers with him for the next internship and everything. And he was not even in college at that point. Okay, and he was having job offers and internship opportunities, everything. And eventually, he got a job opportunity from Josh Skills, and he interned there for 3 months or so, and again moved on to a next internship. So the eventual point is that when you start sharing your work, your experiences and everything, if you think beyond that, who will read this? Okay, you will explore a lot more opportunities. I'm not saying that today, if you go write a thread, it will explode and you will have 100 opportunities. The point is that someday it will work. The point is that someday it will get noticed. And if not, this is the first thing which I also do when I go to when I recruit folks or when I look their portfolios and everything. That are they active some places? Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Medium, GitHub. When you I'll tell you this one particular thing. As a developer, you focus so much on code, but most people do not focus on documentation. There's this thing called as README, okay, in your GitHub, okay, which basically explains how your code works and everything. Most of the folks do not have this README file in there, okay, and most people who are trying to recruit tech folks are not tech people, okay. So your part is to get or basically simplify the process for that particular thing, okay. So rather than just focusing that, okay, I've made a very good product and everything, most people will not read your code going on GitHub. But if you have explained a very well README thing, posted pictures, maybe have an online demo also of it, it sells for itself, okay. Number of skills, since one cannot have like, okay, Shanmugan was asking how many skills. So Shanmugan, a very good thing would be that you may or may not like pick up 2 or 3 skills, maybe at max. You cannot be good at 5, 10, 15 skills, okay. Be good at 1 or 2 skills which could multiply together, okay. So rather than adding skills which would add your value, which could add your worth or value, try to add skills which basically will multiply it. How do I see it as? Let's say you are a developer, okay. If you are a developer and if you have the sense of design as well, okay, you are an asset. You are a much more bigger asset to the company because you understand design as well as development both. So your value basically gets multiplied, okay, and you will be eventually paid more or will be valued over someone else a lot more than anyone else. But if you have two technical skills, you become your basically value becomes additional, okay. You are good at Android, you're good at iOS, or you're good at web dev, or you're good at this particular thing, okay, which may or may not add that much of value, okay. So when you try to add new skills to your portfolio, see how that particular skill could actually multiply your worth rather than add to your worth, okay. So there's one particular thing that is there. Hussein has shared a blog. I guess it's by Krishna, who works at Phi. I guess I have read this particular blog also. You can check that particular blog out. It's a really good blog that would help you as a individual. But yeah, any particular other questions or any particular other part or any other questions you have, folks? Any thoughts or anything, especially on this whole generalist or specialist wala concept? If you have any, put it down. So another thing we're gonna talk about is probably about how much how most of the folks uh, rely on placements as this particular thing. Okay, so for how I look at this particular thing is that a very good check of how good of a individual or how good of a you on the skill set level is that how dependent are you on college placements, okay. So if you can really get a job or if you can really get an opportunity for yourself without college placements, then you have actually cracked something out, okay. Most people have been very interdependent that college job dila degi, okay. The thing is that you should not be dependent on college placement, but rather be as experimental as possible, because if we look at from that particular point of time, if you end up literally trying a lot of skills over the 4 years of time and doing a multiple number of projects, doing all the things which you have discussed, share online, everything and all those things, there is no scenario in the world where if you fail at everything also, you'll still end up getting a job at your college. you'll still end up getting a better job in your college placement. Okay, so treat your college placements as a backup thing. If everything does not work, you still have a college placement. That is not gone anywhere. TCS, Wipro, Infosys will still take you. Okay, they just need people who have 10 fingers and knows English. Okay, that's the basic thing they want. Okay, so that's the basic thing that you should. I don't think so. You should optimize for is the college placement. If you can and if you will on these particular aspect where you can actually showcase different number of skills and be of that particular part, okay, that will eventually help you explore a lot more opportunities and lot more things. Okay, so yeah, this is one particular aspect which a lot of people do not really optimize for or look for that, but should be really doing for. Okay, so yeah, that is another aspect. Any other specific questions anyone have? I'm looking for more questions so that I could really share more ideas around that. Any particular places you folks struggle really at any particular level? Any particular? Feel free to share. I guess a lot of you folks are in that zone where you have a particular skills and not and probably want to showcase it in the right way. Also, if you probably want to share your portfolio, I can give you feedback on that as well. If you wanna, I can give you feedback on that particular part. Going for masters abroad after fourth or focusing on getting a job. Shanmuga, I have a very biased opinion on this. Okay, but I try to be as neutral as possible. Okay, I am not a big advocate of higher education in that particular sense. The only question you should ask yourself if you want to do higher education, that is post graduation, okay, be it MTech, be it MBA, be it any particular thing, just ask yourself why you want to do this. Okay, if you are able to figure out this particular why, then you should not ask anyone and everyone. Okay, and if you're not able to figure out, then the answer is basically no. Okay, and I feel that most people who ask others that should I go for a master's or not, the answer is generally no for them. Okay, because the reason why you're asking is that you still do not know, and you're looking out that हाँ यार चले जाना अच्छा रहता है वैसा है. Okay, so that is my probably way of looking. The way how I look is why most people basically uh, go for higher education, be it MBA or anything, is that either they are not able to get jobs. Okay, they are not able to get jobs by themselves by the end of the 4 years. Okay, or uh, they're basically just looking out for a 2 year high paid vacation. That's it. Okay, that's the two thing. Okay, I look at it. It could be very biased looking from that, but if you really wanna figure it out why you wanna do it, ask yourself why. If you get the answer, that's it. Again, one particular thing a lot of people have it misconception is that if I do a higher education, I'll get a lot more money. No, that's not true. I can give you statistically, okay, 7% of only people who do MBA get actually job. Okay, 97% are unemployed. Most people who do MTech and everything has the very same condition. Plus, you are basically obviously in debt unless and until you are belonging from a rich family. So if you are from a rich background, you have a lot of money and you really want to explore even more for another 2 years and so and probably go out of India also, then go. That's not an issue. Okay, that's really a good option then. But taking, I know people who are in debt of a crore plus money, uh, and probably still earning the same thing. The best thing which you have today is that a lot of people, like I have my cousins and everything who used to go outside India as on-site jobs, okay, so that they can earn more. You might have heard that people used to go outside India today. But since you're working remote, you can legit work for any US companies, any US startup, earning dollars while sitting at your home. Okay, so the way ecosystem has changed right now, that making that amount of money has also become easier. Okay, it's a lot more thing around that particular part, right? So try to optimize for that. Try to answer that why. I will even say, I say this to a lot of people that if you really want to go for a college also for undergraduation, uh, ask yourself why, because you're spending 4 years of your life, a lakh, 10 to 15 lakh amount of money and everything, and may or may not get that amount of ROI in return. Okay. How to measure input and output in terms of what? Okay, how to measure input is that, uh, first thing is that, set a goal. Okay, set a goal. Whether are you trying to achieve this particular? So how I did this for myself is that when I picked Android development for learning, I didn't know zero about coding. Okay, so I picked up a project. Okay, I gave myself 2 months. Okay, and I thought that, okay, in 2 months I'll learn these skills. Okay, the point is to not to reach to that goal. The point is that at the 2 months you have to measure that, how much you have progressed, how you have been feeling on a daily level, how much do you enjoy the process of working and everything and everything. Okay, like today, uh, I may or may not be doing things. Okay, which are very tough. Okay, in general, it could be very tough and it could be very tiresome and everything. But the end of the day, do you enjoy that process of working? At the end of the day, do you enjoy that final outcome you're trying to achieve and everything? So while you're learning a particular skill, have a set amount of goal which you want to achieve and see how do you measure. The more you do this, the more you will optimize the process. Okay, there is no formula directly that I'll say your secret formula and you will be able to measure it. The only way you could figure out how to measure it for yourself is to try it and try to do that. For first month you will do that, and you will figure out that, okay, there's not something working out for me, or there's not something a right way to measure. I'll try to optimize for a different metric to optimize for. Okay, I'll try to different aspect around that. You could do it very well, that you have basically committed 3 hours daily. Were you actually every day committing 3 hours or not? Kitne din mein 3 hours diye, kitne din mein nahi diye? How many times you actually ended up working for 5 hours instead of three? Okay, when you're actually in the love of the process and doing that, even though you know that, even though your calendar says that I want to work for 3 hours, you'll still eventually work for 5 hours. Okay, because you love the process, you're very into that particular part. Okay, so these are something which you unconsciously notice when you reflect back. Most of the people never reflect back. Okay, the process of stopping, reflecting back, and checking how things have gone in the last 1 week, in the last 1 month, in last past half a quarter and everything, that helps you realize how actually efficient, how better you are actually getting on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis. Okay, that will eventually help you figure it out. If you do not do that, you will not be able to do that. Again, these all things, if you start documenting, you will be much more clear. Okay, in that particular process. So at the end of the day, at the end of the year, you will actually able to see that in the month of January you did these many things, in the month of February you did these many things, in the past 1 year. This is how you basically compost all your learnings in a certain way, right? And that becomes your way to showcase also your particular part. Okay, so Danshu asked, I feel often love to seek validation and want to hear what they are thinking deep down. So we keep asking. So Danshu, what context is this? I didn't get. Could you probably maybe unmute or maybe just write it down? That would be really great. I didn't
This,
get the
uh,
context.
hi
Yeah.
Rinkesh, yeah. And then this was when Shanmuga was asking us. I was saying she was asking about the going to the final year or something. So I think people ask multiple times to many people till then they don't get the answer what they want deep down. So I think like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, so eventually, yeah. So seeking validation is a very human nature. Okay, I'm not saying, and I was not obviously targeting, but the only thing is that if you, the reason why you're still unclear is because you've not asked yourself that question. Instead of asking 10 different people, it's good to talk to people and get advice from that. But the first person you should ask that particular question is that why you want to do that. Okay, and if you are able to figure that particular thing out, then ask that. A good reason, a good way to ask questions is that do a little bit of research, that hey dude, I am in this particular position. I might recover this much of loan, or I have this much of part and everything. I really want to get into like research part and everything. Do you think so it's a wise decision to really look forward to? Like if asking question which is more of a specific thing rather than saying, okay, should I do MBA or not? I don't think so. That's the right question to ask. Okay, the question could be a little bit more different. Then it makes sense to ask people who have actually done it. Okay, cool. There's this one question that how do you market your skills? Okay, and do this particular thing. So there are a lot of different ways to market yourself. Okay, uh, the best way you think is that first of all treat yourself as a product. Okay, when you treat yourself as a product, okay, the skills which you're basically adding to your resume, the skills which you're basically adding to you is the features of that product. Okay, now a very now there are different ways to market this particular product or yourself in this particular part. One of the best ways I find is by, again, writing. I've been mentioning writing all over the sessions, but that is something which is the most important aspect of what you do. Your first important aspect is obviously to make projects and everything. I'll try to emphasize on two things which you should optimize as a college student. The first thing is internship at good companies. Okay, try to work at least in one or two product companies. Okay, which are giving you a good amount of exposure where people are good and everything. You may or may not optimize for money. Okay, I'm not saying work for free, but your optimization should be more or less from the point of learning, okay, rather than earning. When you optimize for learning, your eventual curve goes a lot more exponential. A lot of people do not realize this, is that your career is actually a 40-year long career stint. Okay, optimizing for your package on day one of your career is a very bad thing, because that may or may not help you in the short term. Okay, that may help you in the short term but might not eventually in the long term. Okay, so optimize for your learning, optimize for good people, optimize for building networks and relationships early on while you're in career. Okay, so that as you move forward, you will be a lot more better. Okay, trust me, I've seen, and this is a industry how this works. Okay, that if you optimize for this particular kind of thing, you'll eventually grow up on the ladder a lot more exponentially than any other peers of yours. Okay, another thing is another thing is build side projects. Okay, so one particular thing our school, colleges, or probably no one speaks about is that anyone and everyone who are here trying to get jobs, our primary role is to be problem solvers. Okay, we are inherently actually problem solvers. Your mode of solving problems are different. A developer solves problem for a company via writing code. A marketer solves that particular problem via bringing leads and making sure the product has more reach. The product managers do it in a different way. So irrespective of what field or what role you are actually in, your core job is to solve a problem for your company, to solve a problem for your users, to solve the problem for that product. But most of us see it as a very singular function, that I am a developer and I just write code. I am a marketer, so I have to just make people click on my product or make on my website and everything, right? So when you optimize for as a problem solver or a problem thinker, okay, this becomes a different ball game. So when you are a student, try this one activity, that every day or every week, if every day is too much, every day, or sorry, every week, try to list down 10 ideas that you could solve for. And again, it does not have to be a startup idea, it does not have to be anything. Try to pick up 10 ideas, 5 ideas. Even if you're not able to write 10, write one. Okay, so back in the day when I was in college, and I wanted to do this thing. Okay, I picked up this particular thing from uh, uh, this uh, this guy called Tim Ferriss. Okay, he's a pretty famous guy. Okay, you might have heard about his podcast and everything, and there's a book called Tools of Titans also. I'm not sure if I have it here, but yeah, he has a book called Tools of Titans. He has a so he has this concept or idea of idea jar. Okay, so what I did was that I had a jar. Okay, and every day whenever I used to get certain ideas or anything, I would just write it on a sticky note. Okay, fold it out and put it in the jar. Every end of the week, I used to empty that idea jar, read out those particular thing, and I used to think about those. So we were a bunch of people whom we were there, and with those bunch of people, I used to discuss those ideas. I used to discuss this particular thing, and I still incorporate this particular thing in a digital world with my company, my previous company, my current company. We all have this idea jar where anyone and everyone can basically pitch in any ideas, and then eventually we pick one of those days, and those days we just discuss about those ideas. The the eventual point is to discuss, uh, figure out certain problems and everything, and we may or may not end up building a solution or anything. Okay, so the exercise basically helps you think a lot more. The more you do this frequently, you will realize over the time that you have way too many ideas, and you're basically never running out of ideas. Someone basically, I guess, asked that how do I find ideas or how do I do that particular thing. The reason why you do not have idea is because you're not exposing yourself to a lot of things. Okay, and even if you are exposing, okay, you're not able to synthesize that and put it in a part. If you're not getting idea, read an article. If you're not getting an idea, read a book. If you're not getting an idea, listen to a podcast. If you're not getting an idea, talk to an interesting person. Okay, there are so many things which you can do on internet today that you can never literally run out of ideas and things to do. Okay, you could, if you do not think so, you do not have a problem to solve for, just Google it. There will be hundreds of problems that you could figure out. The point is that you could start this process by anyways. Okay, literally anyways. The point is to keep going, do it consistently. Once you do it consistently, you will then optimize it for a much better ways. Okay, much better aspect. Okay, eventually you figure out that okay, this particular thing works or not. Then you will be at certain point, then you will be also able to figure out that what ideas are actually good, what ideas are not, and then you will be developing a chain of thinking also towards one particular point of time. At this point of time, most people do not have that chain of thinking and the idea source and everything around that particular part. So this is how you can start building upon those particular things. Okay, another thing which you could do is you could browse Twitter and just randomly tweet about ideas. And if you want feedback, let's say if you think that okay, there is a cool idea, I think that could be there, tweet about it. You'll either get feedback, or either will get feedback that dude, this may or may not work, or probably you could find someone that hey, dude, this looks interesting, do you want to work along with this? Okay, so yeah, that is something which you could do very well, that could open up a lot of possibilities. Yeah, Keshav, you have a question?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, like, in general, for entrepreneurship also, or starting up also, like many people talk about, problems, like solving problems. And I completely accept what you told about problems. But like many people have earned, like company success has gone somewhere, like while solving problems. But I'm asking, is it always about solving problems? Like I'm being very personalized here. Like for example, Swiggy and Zomato, both are same. Like they are not doing different things. And I don't remember if Swiggy came first or Zomato. Mostly, I think Swiggy came first, but still Zomato is what we generally prefer. So now, for example, if I'm starting a business or if I'm starting up, so is it right? I'm still not sure if it is the right question, but still, if I'm only starting with the motto that I want to earn money with that startup, now is that thinking right or not? Is that I'm not sure.
So I would say that if your basically end goal is to earn money in short term, then starting was not really a right option.
Okay.
If your goal is to make money then starting up should be the probably last option you should consider, because there are way too many variables that you cannot ever control, and there's a very good chance that it may or may not work. So if your eventual goal is to make money, there are thousands of ways to make money a lot more easier than startups. Startups are way too many high friction thing to actually make money, right? You have to build a product, you have to build a team, you might have to raise money, or you probably have to put your own money to that. And probably if you check everything in the box, it still may not work, and you still may not make money, right? So making money, if it's the goal, I'm not saying that your goal should not be making money. Okay. But if making money is the goal, then the path should not be the startup eventually. Okay. Yes, people who end up succeeding make a good shit of money, good ton of money, but their eventual goal would be never care. I started up because I wanted to be a millionaire. That is never the case. Okay. Most people never do that. Okay. That would be a 1 lakh thing that might have happened for someone, but it's fairly easy to make money by other ways rather than starting up. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Presently learning web development. My question is, after completing web development, is freelancing in web dev a good option, or should I try searching research, try for searching projects? Divyesh, I think freelancing is a very good thing. I think freelancing is something a lot of people should at least get their hands dirty earlier while they're in college, because it gives you exposure to a lot of things. Negotiating with clients, how to find clients, how to deal with them, delivering in time and pressure and everything. So this it basically helps in a lot of skills rather than just making project or making skills to the use and everything. Okay. But again, freelancing as a starter becomes very difficult because you do not have that authenticity, or you do not have that particular part. Okay. So it may or may not start very well to you. So you should be really well to showcase, to figure out the leads for yourself and then put yourself out. Okay. So it's a tough place to be at as a starter for someone who's just getting started in freelancing. But I'll not encourage that you do not do it. I'll say that try it. Like I said before, when you have built a skill, then how you also balance in what way you're trying to sell the skill, via freelancing, via side projects, or via internship, then probably optimizing maybe some other ways. So you also need to think, what's the best way of your time, effort, and how much it is giving. Okay. If you want to optimize for money, probably freelancing might give you more flexibility because you are your own king and you may or may not earn money. The freelancing works really good because you can work with anyone and anyone in the world, right? So Upwork and all these platforms helps you earn money in dollars and everything, and you earn a good shit of money in freelancing. Okay. So that is there. But again, the competition is way too much. In internships, you optimize for something else, okay, because you're working with product companies, you're working with a set of individuals and everything. So where money may take the lower standard, but learning other soft skills and everything becomes the primary aspect, right? So depending on what phase of your career is, what your eventual goal is, and everything, that might be really good. If you're probably about to graduate, let's say 6 months, if you're about to graduate in 6 months, probably a good way might be to optimizing for internship, where you can actually get even a PPO, so that you can convert that into a job. Okay. So yeah, it really depends. I'll not discourage anyone to not try it. It's a good thing. If you are in a second year or third year, that's a very good place to basically try this freelancing thing, okay, and build a strong portfolio of yourself.
Okay,
Naman
thank you.
says, yeah, cool. Naman says, money is the byproduct which comes with your startup. After that, when you reach your growth state, then you can make your startup profitable. Yes, Naman, very, very right. But if you see, a lot of startups takes a lot of time. It's a high friction thing to take it up to that place eventually. So yeah, that's a big thing. What is the first thing you as a recruiter see in a person applying for job in your company apart from his or her main skill? I guess the attitude is something which most people look for, attitude and the culture fit. When you say attitude, So one thing is that you can learn all the hard skills with time also, right? If you're an Android developer, 6 months of training or 6 months of being into that particular thing, even after getting a job, you will become a better Android developer. Okay, and you will continue to become so. But your attitude or your perspectives or your different aspects of your personality does not change even after your 20, 20, 30, 40 years. Okay, that's a very hard characteristic to change actually. Okay, because that's ingrained in you, right? So that is something which most of the companies, at least in the product space, look for, that how well do you align with our product missions, how well do you align with every other thing, are you actually good at what you're saying and everything around that particular part, right? So that is something which you should optimize for. I often tell these to folks who are early in their career that optimize more on how well you can sell yourself rather than what skills you have. A lot of people go chasing that, I want to learn this skill, this skill, that skill, that skill. Okay, eventually they end up having a lot of skills but not able to showcase and sell themselves, rather than start focusing on probably showcasing your work in the right sense and putting it out, whatever little you have. Okay, so yeah, that is what more or less most companies these days look for. Okay, cool. Almost an hour done, almost an hour and a half. Any particular other questions or anything else you folks have? I hope I was able to cover mostly a lot of things in whatever time you have. But yeah, let me know if there is any particular questions anyone have. Else we can wind up the session for the day. Anyone? Feel free to mute also, unmute yourself and ask if you have any questions. Nope. Cool. One particular small thing which we are probably trying to do is that there's this book which is very, very good. I recommend it to most people. I'm not sure if I have it here, but the book name is So Good That You Cannot Ignore. It's a book which I recommend to a lot of people who are just getting started in their career, or basically students and everything. Okay, so we're giving out 3 copies for it. Okay, to folks who have attended the session. Any anything that all you have to do is probably share what you have learned. Okay, on any of the public platforms which are there. Share that particular learning. It could be a thread. It could be just a tweet with 2 or 3 lessons which you have learned and everything. Tag us and probably will probably bring it to you. I guess Anishi here won the last giveaway which we did for Atomic Habits. So yeah, if you want to read that book, happy to give it out. Okay, if you happen to write about. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, folks, for joining in. Okay, another important thing I want to share is that tomorrow we have an interesting session on how to negotiate well in interviews. It's a very, very important skill which you as a student should have. Okay, a lot of you, I guess few of you are actually in your final year and doing interviews and everything. It will help you also for folks who are applying for interviews for internships and everything. It's happening tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Okay, 1:30 in afternoon. So yeah, if you are available and if you feel free to join in. Okay, the session registration is on careerleap.com. Sorry, careerleap.io. Okay, so see you there if you are there tomorrow. Okay, bye bye, folks. Thank you so much. I hope all the best to you, every one of you. And yeah, if you have any particular other questions also related to career or anything, feel free to DM me on Twitter. I'm available. Okay, and I'll see you there. Cool. Bye bye, folks. Have a good day. Can I ask one more question? Yeah, sure, Devish. Let me know. Devish, if you can make it quick, you can unmute yourself and ask.
Yes, actually, I wanted to ask that you were showing videos from the YouTube app that मतलब वो hurt नहीं करता था creators के views को?
No, actually it doesn't, because those videos were actually fetched from YouTube APIs itself. So whenever you are watching the videos on Upskill India app also, the count basically gets increases because you're doing an API call. So yeah, it was actually well regulated. So that was never an issue.
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
And one more thing. Actually,
Yeah.
I have an idea for the app, but now it's closed. But can I still give you?
Sure.
You introduced like the upskill coins, right?
Mm-hmm.
For particular tasks, you get some coins. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought कि हम लोग ये like हमने 50 coins जमा कर लिया. Then you can redeem this code from the brand app, from the brand website.
Mm-hmm.
This way you can also like monetize the upskill app and ज़्यादा engage कर सकते हो कि ज़्यादा देर हम ऐप में ही रहे.
Right. Yes. But yeah, there were a lot of problems. मतलब वो एक तरीका था, but again there were a lot of problems with the eventual product. That's why we pivoted to now Careerly. So let's see. When the new product comes in, you will probably love it more than that.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much, folks, for joining in. Have a great weekend. See you all tomorrow. Good night. Bye bye.